I want to talk to you this morning from this subject, right in your text. Adam, where are you?
Mama.
Yeah.
Mama.
You may be seated. Where are you? Turn it down just a little bit for me, Marcel. Adam, where are you? That's a good question, isn't it? In this, we know that in this creation story, when God created Adam, Adam is the representative, generically means that mankind. All men in the lines of Adam, the whole human race. Adam was the man that God created, and all the rest, generation after generation after generation, has been birthed out of Adam. But then, of course, Adam was Adam's name, too. And so on this occasion, he's talking to Adam, the man. Adam, where are you? He's talking to that male gender. He wasn't talking to Eve. He was talking to Adam. And I believe today God is talking to us men. God is talking to us. And I want to encourage us that we need to take out some time and start listening. Let me suggest it. Let me flip it then. One reason why in our community, particularly in the black community, that we're in such a mess is that we brothers are not listening to God. And I'm going to tell you something else. Brothers, y'all hear me? Until you start listening to God, we're going to stay in this mess. As a matter of fact, not only are we going to stay, it's going to get worse. It's going to get progressively worse. And we can sit around here and be macho all we want to and don't want nobody to tell us anything. And one way, thank you, you may be seated. And one way that we say that God is not going to tell us anything is we tell one another that you're not going to tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. That's what we do. We say that. We just scared to say, God, you can't tell me nothing. We're scared to say that. But this is a wonderful, wonderful lesson today to help us to understand how we got in this mess that we're in and give us some insight on how we're going to get out of it. And we certainly need to get out of it. Now, a couple things I want you to know, first of all. For y'all, I know somebody's mind already went there, so let me clear it up right now. The first place, Adam and Eve didn't eat no apple. They didn't say it, ate no apple. They say ate from the tree. It didn't say no apple, so we got to stop plugging that in. And I'm going to tell y'all something else I want y'all to get, and you need to get it clear in your mind. The problem, the first sin, didn't have nothing to do with sex. Didn't have nothing whatsoever to do with sex. And I can speculate a little bit. Adam and Eve were probably having all kind of good sex up to the fall. So God did tell them to go forth and bring forth some babies, didn't he? And as far as I understand, that's the only way you're going to get some babies. Human beings, God created us that way and made us perfectly so we could match, so that we could produce other children. Don't y'all ever forget that. Don't be landing on no. Now here's what the real sin was. If you go to the 21st verse of this chapter, and you're going to see what God was dealing with 22nd chapter, 21st verse said, he said unto Adam also, and to his wife, the Lord God made coats of skin and clothed them. Is that what it said? Look what the next verse said. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us. Listen to me. To know good and evil. You see, before the fall, was nothing but good. Nothing but good. Now, when Adam ate from and Eve ate from the tree, and then they began to recognize and realize that there was another power in opposition to good, and that is evil. Did you not know that you would be in good shape today if you was not conscious of the fact that evil is prevalent? Huh? That's what got you in trouble right now. Because you are void of the Spirit of God, most of the time, most decision you make is in line with evil. You used to didn't have to do that. I wish I had somebody. There was a time when you didn't have to wrestle with that. When in Adam didn't have to worry about that. All Adam had to do is just walk through life and enjoy goodness. Just enjoy the cool breeze, perfect environment, good quality food, a good woman who was not all jacked up in her mind. Just enjoying life until his eyes came open. Now he can have to make decisions between right and wrong, good and evil. And there was a time when he didn't have to deal with that. That's your problem right now. That's your problem. You're sitting here right now trying to make a decision. And let me let you in on a little bit of secret. If you don't let God guide you, you're going to be wrong. And going to get you kicked out the garden. Anybody hear me yet? Now I just want to get that clear. I want to get that clear. And there's something else I want to get clear. Wow. I'm going to come back to this, but I'm going to get it clear now. Brothers, God does not intend for you to delegate your authority to your woman. In our society today, even on the most basic, fundamental thing we do in our homes today, too many of us men delegate our authority to our women. And as a result, we are messed up. And when the day comes, and the day is coming, and some of you are already facing it. When the time comes, God is holding you accountable. Let me work it out for you. I know you got some issues with that. Because I got some hard-headed women in this church. You ain't going to never prosper in your home. Because you know why? Because you won't let your man be the man. And then some of y'all brothers are so weak and so spineless that y'all let these women just walk all over y'all. It ought not to be so. Boy, I done cleaned out the whole church now. The women gone and the men too. But since you're here, you might not come back tomorrow, but since you're here and you're ashamed to run out the door now, let me tell you this. Let me tell you what. Satan showed up. And by the way, Satan's not going to show up with a long red cape on horns on his head, and a fork in his hand. Satan gonna show up so that sometimes he'll show up as a bright and shining, in other words, very attractive, very appealing. All y'all looking for something ugly, looking for the devil, you looking in the wrong place. And some of y'all know it right because you got some pretty stuff, but it was pretty when it came to you, wasn't it? And you thought it was an angel, didn't you? But you found out later on that it was a devil or a demon. Am I right or wrong? You thought, it looked all and glamorous and glorious and all that kind of stuff. But what you got to understand, what about the character? What about the message that it carried? What about what it believed? What about what it's saying to you? Now listen to me. So Satan came, and the Bible says he's tricky. He's subtle. He's sneaky. He's tricky. He's going to come at you in all different kind of ways and catch you off guard. He's coming at you when you're not in the Word. He's coming when you think when you think you can make it on your own. He's coming to you when you think you know more than your pastor knows. See, most people in my church think they know more than I know. And that's when we can't get out the rut that we're in. And I know you do because all the truth I've been telling you won't do it. So evidently you believe in something that I'm not telling you. And so indirectly you're saying, I know more than you know, Pastor. Don't come here telling me that stuff. I know what's best. Am I right or wrong? Now listen to me. And so here's what so Satan comes to the woman, and he says to the, this is what he said. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Sounds good. Look at the woman. So you don't play with fire. You don't play with evil. You don't play with darkness. Because once again, it's subtle, tricky, sneaky. And the woman said to herself, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden. He said, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Now, she kind of fudged a little bit right there because God never said anything about not touching. He said, don't eat from it. He did say directly not to eat from it, didn't he? Go back and study it for yourself. And look what the serpent said. The serpent said, you shall not surely die. You ain't going to die. Watch. He said, if you eat from it, watch. You're going to keep on living. You shall not surely die. And in actuality, she didn't die at the moment, but many, many years later, death caught up with her. Am I right or wrong? Death caught up and came knocking at the door. And then we don't want to get into this. I'm talking about on the physical side. On the natural side, without restoration, then that's the eternal damnation. Eternal separation, eternal loss now. But listen to this. But see, the devil says this. He said, for God does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as God, knowing good and evil. You see that? Didn't God say the same thing in the 22nd verse? God said, I'm going to put them out the garden, and I'm going to set up some angels to keep them away from the tree of life so they won't keep coming and eating and have to live on in this condition. Y'all hear me? And so I'm going to tell you what the devil is not going to do. The devil is not going to come to you with just a flat-out lie. You know what the devil's going to do? He's going to take the truth and wrap it in a lie and hand it to you. So all of y'all just think he's just gonna come up there straight out and tell you a flat-out, cold-hearted, straight, bald-faced and lie that you recognize as a lie. As soon as you look at it, you're looking in the wrong place. He's not going to be that direct with you and I because we go to church. But this is what I'm trying to get to. And then the Bible says, Satan tempted, right? And then this is what the Bible says. When the woman saw. Now this is the only three ways that Satan gonna tempt you: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life. I didn't come to talk to you about that, but it's right here in the text. He did it back then. And John, in the Epistle of John, about the 3rd chapter, John explains it again. Said this is the way the devil gonna tempt you. And as we go through life today, there's one of three things he's gonna appeal to: the lust of your flesh, what he said, it's good for food. Yeah, fulfill that fleshly desire. The lust of the eye, good to look at. And then the lust, the pride of life, it will make you wise. It's going to make you smarter than everybody else. See, y'all don't hear me. That's where he's going. That's where he get every one of us. When we fall into our sin, fall into our way, that's where he hit us. Lust of the flesh. The lust of the eye. That's when you can't keep black folks out of the mall. Lust of the eye. Ain't got but 50 cents, but eyes just bucked. Window shopping. That's what that's what we all into. Just can't stop looking and lusting after something that, first place, we don't have the money to get it. One guy said, you better get out of a Negro's way on payday. You better not get between him and the mall. You're going to get run over. You getting run over. Because we're going to spend every dime we got. We got to find a way to get, because we got this lust of the flesh and the lust of the eye. That dominates us. There it is right there. And that's what the power of darkness appeal to. And I'm going to tell you how they appeal to it a lot in the contemporary time. Can I tell y'all? Through that doggone television, always trying to promote something and sell you something to get your desires out of control, and next thing you know, you ain't got no money, but you're standing in the store. And what you need to do, you need to turn that thing off and stop letting the power of darkness control you through that instrument. Y'all know why that sometimes you driving down the street and all of a sudden you want a hamburger? Because you just looked at Burger King commercial. And he planted that seed in your mind. All of us are victims. I am, and you are too. But anyway, I didn't come to talk to you about that. I just dropped that in. But this is what I came to talk to you about. Listen to me. I got 3 or 4 things I want to say to you, and then I'm going to be out of here. And the Bible said, and when the woman thought it was good, and it was pleasant to the eye, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, he said, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat. Listen to me. And gave it to her husband with her, and he did eat. It wasn't like Adam didn't know what was going on. It's like Adam was standing right there. I don't know what his motivation was. I don't know whether he was scared of what. I don't know what he was scared he's going to lose in the game. I don't know what he thought he was going to lose, but he stood right there and looked at his woman disobey God, and he didn't say a word. That's what we do. We stand right there and see these women going down the wrong road, and we won't say nothing. Go home and bring a car home. Take it back. Because I'm not going to pay for it. Go buy a house. Go take it back. Ain't said nothing to nobody. Hadn't talked to anybody. just took it up on themselves and took authority to do something than to take the responsibility that God has given to the man. Y'all better start, look at me. Don't start looking off now. Don't y'all women start looking crazy now. Because I know I'm stepping on some feet up in here because I know black women. And I know that's part of what got us in trouble, what we're in right now. Because we don't respect men. Because we don't respect God yet. Because the day you start respecting God, then you start respecting God's ordained authority. Now, this is an indictment against men. This is not an indictment against a woman. This is an indictment against me and Robert and you and you and you and you and all those men. This is an indictment against us. It's not this because when God showed up and started to hold him accountable, he jumped right on Adam. Eve sitting there grinning. Adam in trouble. And she didn't even have enough integrity to say, Lord, no, it was my fault. She didn't have enough integrity to hold up both hands and say, Lord, I got busted. It was my fault. See, I took advantage of this man. I know this man loved me. I just took advantage of it. And so look what he said. And so he gave it to her. She gave it to him, rather. Look. And watch this. The eyes didn't come open to Adam ate. Adam could have refused to eat that, and Eve would have been hung out. Y'all see that? It's in the text. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So there we go again. Let me hit you with something else. When a man or a woman is in right relationship with God, there's no shame in their game. Whenever you live in a house with your spouse, and got to turn off all the lights. And wrap yourself in a blanket before you come to bed, you got a problem. And you got a sin problem. You see, when a man and woman is in right relationship with God with one another, is transparency, vulnerability, complete openness. And that's what that nakedness represents. They had nothing to hide. Physically or emotionally. In this case, it was straight out physical nakedness. But look what happened when they fell into sin. They were ashamed. And they hid themselves. And then they tried to cover it up by making some kind of clothes or garment to cover up what they were ashamed of. But let me drop it. I'm going to say this real soft and nice. When a man and a woman in the right relationship with one another, they're not ashamed of one another's nudity. Because it's part of the game. That's part of the life. That's part of living a good, healthy, godly life, and healthy in the presence of God and healthy in the presence of one another. When shame starts to slip into your game, you got some stuff unsettled in your heart, or you've been messing around somewhere you ain't got no business messing around. Get your business straight. And when your husband come in the house, you don't jump and throw a robe on, or whatever the case might be, or vice versa. That's if you're at home by yourself. Now, when other folks come in, you need to cover up. Now, you don't be uncovered for Jack and John and Joe, or Sally and Sue. And your children ain't got no business seeing you in the news. You better hear me. This is a special, personal, intimate relationship between a man and his wife. The man ain't got no business looking up on go to Leviticus chapter 18. You ain't got no business looking up on the nudity of your children, or your children look up on your nudity. Y'all don't hear me. But for you that are married, there should be no shame. Open, healthy relationship. But that's not what I came to talk to you about. Now, here's what happened when you go wrong, Brother Marcel. The first thing happened to Adam and Eve is that they were ashamed. And they hid themselves. Huh? And then, listen to me. Along comes God. And he raises the question, Adam, where are you? The implication is, Adam, you're out of place. Adam, you're not where I place you. You have gotten out of place. You're not in your divinely appointed position. Where, Adam, where are you? And that's the clarion call across this nation today. Adam, where are you? Black men, where are you? God is screaming across this country. Where are you? Well, Lord, I discovered that I was naked. I was ashamed and hid myself. But I got another question for you. Who told you you was naked? God said, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you was naked. Which suggests this. You're listening to the wrong counsel. If I was talking to, if God was talking to us today, he would say, black man, where are you? Who told you you was dumb? Who told you you was ignorant? Who told you you couldn't be a father? Who told you you couldn't be a provider? Who told you you couldn't protect your family? Who told you you can't protect your community and be a leader, a provider, a protector? Who told you? Who told you you was less than anybody else? God said, I didn't tell you that. You must have been listening to the wrong person. Who told you you was a second-class citizen? Who told you that you were subhuman? God said, I didn't do it. And the call is ringing out across this land. Listen to what people have called us nigger. People call you coon. People call you boy. Huh? People have labeled us you as lazy. Who told you that stuff? Where you getting your information from, God said? God said, I didn't tell you that. I told you that you was made in the image and likeness of God. I told you could think. I told you could be creative. I told you could do anything. I told you you could make this garden productive. I told you that. Who told you couldn't do it? Who told you today you got to be a dope seller? Who told you got to hustle all the girls in town and bed them down before you can be a man? Talk to me, brethren. Who told you? I wish I had somebody. That's what's wrong with us today, people. Across this country, everybody defines us God. I've been studying history, and black folks are some of the most, used to be among the most intelligent people in this universe. We were creative. We was good in science. We was good in math. We was good in chemistry. But you go down to Lincoln High School right now, or any school in Texas, and all the black kids want to be in is in the arts and sciences. Because you know why? Because somebody told you you couldn't do math. Somebody told you couldn't do science. Somebody told you couldn't do technology, and you bought it. But God did not tell us that. I think with the right brain. Huh? You go to the average black school right now, and every time a kid is smart, here's what they label. Oh, you're just trying to be white. Who told you that white folk had a patent on smartness? There ain't nothing wrong with white folks being smart, but who said smartness is exclusively a right of people other than black folk? God didn't. God didn't. God said we're somebody. You know what I'm saying today? Who told you? Who told you that you always have to be a failure? Huh? Everything we do has to be less than excellent. Who told you that's okay? Mediocrity is okay. Sometimes we've gotten to the point now where we glory in dominance and ignorance and poverty. Who told you that that's for us? It's just relegated for one particular group. So God says to Adam, he said, Adam, who told you were naked? I'm going to tell y'all guys something today. If I were you, I learned a few years ago that everybody's not out for your best interest. And look at what God did. Eve took the fruit, right? Eve ate of it. Eve initiated all this, and she handed it to her man, right? But who did God come to and hold accountable? The first person on the accountability block was Adam. And I got some news for us today. I don't care what you say. You can make excuses all you want to, brothers. You can say the woman, you can say she's stubborn, you can say she's hard-headed, you say whatever you want to say, but when accountability time comes, God is still holding you and I responsible for the responsibility he gave to us. It is our responsibility to protect the garden, if you will. Now listen to me, women. I know y'all don't want to hear this, but you would do well if you was going and be a good helpmate. And a lot of times, us brothers, women won't be a helpmate because you ain't going nowhere. You just sitting there. What you going? I don't know. Just go talk to the old lady. What you want? I don't know. Talk to the old lady. Ain't got no plan, no vision, no dream, no nothing for your family. Weeds all in the garden. Nobody flicking weeds. Nothing. Weeds and took over. And here we sit here, 2014, and we need to step back up and take our right place. Where are you? You left your place. You left your place that I ordained for you to operate in. It's okay, brothers, for us to be men. Listen, you don't get carried away, though. But you got to lead your family under the law of love. When you operate under the law of love, you're always going to be operating with your family's best interest at heart. I've never seen a man yet, a responsible man that loved God and loved and practiced the law of love, that do anything to hurt you. Don't hurt his family, he don't hurt his wife, his children, or anybody else. Oh, yes, he rebuked them if necessary. If it's necessary for discipline for his children, yes, he'll do that, but it's all under love. Huh? It's being responsible. And God gave this man the responsibility to take care of the garden. And way back there before he got to the 3rd chapter, he said, I'm going to give you a helpmate. Now, y'all listen to me. Think for a minute. Think for a minute. How many of you in this auditorium today is not in the business of helping your man? You're in the business of running your man. Think about it for a minute. You can't tell me nothing. I mean, what you married a man for if he can't tell you nothing? What you just give back? What you married a guy for if you can't respect it? Fellas, what you married a woman for if you can't love her and cherish her and do the very best for her, make sure she gets the best of the best? What is it? Think, was the sex that good? I got bad news for you. I don't care how good the sex is, you have something else other than sex, it's going to get bad after a while. And let me tell you something else, and it won't be long. Them 3-month relationship where everybody was all happy for 3 months, and then 3 months later you're looking funny and saying, man, I wonder if I made the right choice here. Well, you went into the relationship just on the physical side and didn't have nothing else to go along with. And it takes more than sex to make a good relationship. I'm glad I learned that. I'm glad I learned that lesson as a young man. I didn't know it when I got married, but I learned it. I grew into it. I learned some things that was more valuable than just the physical things in life. I learned how to respect and appreciate my wife for who she is, her character, the quality of woman that she is. It wasn't just about the physical part. Yeah. Now, of course, the more you respect, the more you care, the older you get, the better the physical gets. You didn't know that either, did you? Y'all didn't know that. I'm telling you what I know. That's the reason why you see so many old men drop the old wife they have, the old woman from my chronological, go get them a young woman, and it won't be long before she drop him and gone on. Because that's not what it's all about. And then they just go on and on and on and on. Or she'll have him and have her 2 or 3 other guys on the side. The only thing she wants from him is his money, because he got a big bank account. Y'all better wake up and learn something. Learn something about life. And quit jiving yourself. And so now listen to me. How did he get himself in the middle? How did he get out of place? He got himself out of place. So God raised the question, didn't he? Adam, where are you? Huh? Then he said, Adam said, well, I'm over here hid, God. I'm over here hid among the tree. Now, that's kind of silly anyway. A man going to try to hide from God. Like Jasper Williams said, talking about a man going to rob. Can a man rob God? So some of us think we can slip up on God with a 45 and hijack it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But that's that old carnal mind we have, you know. But then he raised another question. He says, he said, well, he said, who told you that you were naked? But then he did what God said to him. Then God came. He said, have you eaten from that tree that I commanded you not to eat of? Are you behaving and acting in a manner contrary to what I have commanded you? Now, that wasn't for God. That was for him. Because God already knew. Are you, I told you not to eat from that tree. Huh? Have you, oh, wait a minute, God, wait a minute, that woman. That woman that you gave me. She did eat, and then she gave it to me to eat. Then we get into the blame game. That's what he do. Trying to rationalize and justify our behavior. That's all of us got a habit of doing that. Check yourself and check how often we do that. It's hard for us to admit that we're wrong. I've been working at this stuff a long time. And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm comfortable, getting halfway comfortable with saying I'm wrong. This is a real battle. This is a battle. This is a real battle with yourself. With yourself, where you come to the point where you will look, here you're standing in the presence of the living God, the God who created him, and then God called him on the carpet and said, have you done what I commanded you not to do? And then he turned around and pointed his finger at that woman. Almost saying to God, God, if you hadn't given me that woman, I wouldn't be in this mess. I mean, in other words, God, it's your fault. Uh-oh. And so there we go. Here what the problem is, Destin, is this. Is that it was just sheer disobedience. What it does, it leads to? It leads to shame, running and hiding. But not only does it lead to running and hiding, it gets you out of your right place, your rightful position that God has put you in. You have all of a sudden, you have delegated that to somebody that God has not given it to. And that's what's killing us today. That's what's killing our community. That's what kills us in the church. Because sometimes some people try to run ahead of everybody in the church. If I got Andre over the praise team, somebody in the praise team know more about the praise, won't sit and listen to what his man got to say. If I have somebody over to Sunday school, they won't listen and say what the Sunday school got to say. They got to get their own thing, come with their own agenda, do their own thing whenever they get ready, and then expect God to bless it. It don't work like that. God has an order to things, a design. It'll be best for us to line up. Many of our churches are messed up today because the people in the pew won't listen to their pastor. People out of place. And then you watch it, when people are out of place, they're always hiding in the shadows. They don't come up on the front and talk about and do the thing what they would do behind your back. It's always a hide kind of thing. It's always secret. Y'all don't hear me. That's what Adam did. Adam ran and hid and then cloaked himself with his own sense of righteousness. So you can't make yourself righteous when you sin. You have to be made righteous by the blood of the Lamb. That's it. If you go and study the text, the book said that they made them clothes, but when it came down to the end of the story, the book said God discarded it and God made them some clothes. You can't be made righteous on your own human merit and on your own human effort. It has to be what God chooses to do for you to make you a righteous person. And God made a great choice. God made a choice to send his son Jesus to set the record straight. The second Adam came to make it right. And then listen to me. And then there's another question that was raised. He said, woman, what have you done? what did you do? God already knew. It wasn't for him, it was for her. To let her know and put her back in. By the way, all of us that do counseling work, sometimes it's good. We don't necessarily have to have all the answers. Sometimes it's just good to ask questions. Let people figure it out themselves. Most of us blow it in our counseling because we talk too much. We got too much advice to give when you really need to be asking questions, let people work some of this stuff out themselves. That's a good model that God set. And so the woman, he said to the woman, he said, woman, what have you done? And he said, that serpent. You know that old serpent, that old snake that you made? He tricked me. And I ate. There it is again. Blame. How many of you guys have said the devil made me do it? You say it all the time. There you are. That's what she was saying. She said, the devil made me do that. You think you're going to get off? Think God's going to let you off of your responsibility just because you're pointing your finger at somebody else? Oh, no. And so there we are, blaming other folk. Yes, listen to me. Let me tell you something. It's some people have done some bad things to every one of us in this auditorium. The power of darkness has inflicted pain and misery upon us. That's not our sin. You know what our sin is? Not doing anything to correct our situation. Our sin is not because somebody is practicing racism or lying on you or stealing from you. That's not your sin. The sin is, what are you doing to correct your situation? I can't stop people from being who they are. Not going to even try. Waste too much of my time. Waste too much energy. But I sure can come up with a strategy of how I'm going to deal with those and the power that sinned against me. I wish I had somebody. That's what God's holding you accountable for, but here we go. Listen to me. Go back in your history. People came to Africa and they took us and enslaved us, right? That wasn't a sin to be. It wasn't a sin for you to be a slave. It was a sin that you didn't try to get out of. That's the sin. That's the sin when you didn't try to cast off the shackles. The sin is when you sit there and rest in your misery. Did you not know in 1865, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, did you not know that we had a 98% illiteracy rate? But at the turn of the century, we had only a 40% illiteracy rate. You know why? They couldn't do anything about it when there was a law against them getting an education. They couldn't do anything about it when you could be hung for reading. They couldn't do anything about that. But soon they got an opportunity. Their sin would have been if they had remained illiterate when they had an opportunity to do better for themselves. I know my enemies. I know Satan is my enemy. And I know Satan has human agents. You know what I don't do? I'm wise enough not to turn my back on them. Metaphorically speaking. I got my eyes on them. But y'all see me living like this here? That means my enemy trying to circle me. I'm trying to keep it. I'm circling too. I don't let it get behind me. I'll keep my eyes on it. But at the same time, I'm not going to waste my time fighting him for being who he is. Oh, I'm going to preach, and I'm going to tell people how they can come out of darkness, but I'm coming up with that strategy on how I can keep moving forward. You see, Rose Terrace, let me tell you something. Before we built this church down here, before we built this ministry down here, we came into this community, and it was said, E.D. Charles, you crazy, you need to get on, go back, you can't do nothing down there in Bonton. People in Bonton don't want nothing. They're not going to do anything. But see, they didn't call me. I wasn't seeking counsel from them. As a matter of fact, I didn't even ask their opinion. You know what I kept hearing? I kept hearing saying what God said, with God all things are possible. I kept hearing the voice of the Spirit say, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, teaching them all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I will be with you always, even unto the end of the age. I heard the voice of God down in my bosom. So I had to make a decision. I was going to listen to God. I was going to listen to those who was an adversary to the community. Eve had a choice. She could listen to God, or she could listen to Satan. She made a choice to listen to Satan. Now, my question to you today, who are you listening to? In all of your doing, think about your life situation right now. Who have you been listening to? Well, this is what happened. Because this woman made a choice to listen to the wrong voice. And because this man would listen to a voice other than God, look at the consequences. Think about it for a minute. In a garden, guaranteed to produce. All he had to do was throw a seed in the ground. It's coming up. With no question asked. All he had to do is go out there and do what God told him. And he's going to get a bumper crop. Not just a crop. He's going to get a bumper crop. All he has to do is go out there and the animals were not going to attack him. Lions and tigers and elephants, all these animals out there. Everything out there was under his control. Whatever he needed was right there at his disposal. But because of his disobedience, because he wouldn't listen to God, God said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I got to do for you. I'm going to give him some clothes. But he got to get out the garden. Now he got to get out the garden. But he got to go out there and work the land where the thorns and thistles grow. He's going to have to labor from this day forward to eke out a crop so he can take care of himself. And I got the strangest feeling today. I got the strangest feeling, if we would just realign ourselves with God, things don't get better on this side of the grave. We don't have to live in bondage. We don't have to live in captivity. We don't have to live with all this anxiety. We don't have to live with all these fears. We don't have to live with all these doubts in our hearts and our minds when we get right with God. I'm finished. And I know I'm right because I heard the psalmist say, I've never seen the righteous forsaken. No, it's seed begging. Huh? I believe today, in spite of who sits in the White House, in spite of who's in the Congress, in spite of who's in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, who's the mayor, who's the police chief, God's people can make it anyway. My destiny and my provision is not limited to what other folks say. I got a God who owns everything. The heaven and earth, the gold, and the cattle of 1,000 will belong to the living God. I am a child of God, and whatever belongs to God is mine. And I'm crazy enough to believe today that God didn't create all this stuff and store it up for somebody else and didn't have a little bit for me. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I've been operating in South Dallas for 30 years now. Yes, my back has been up against the wall. But I'm going to tell you something. And don't you ever forget it. I ain't down yet. I'm like a rubber ball. Every time the devil throw me down, I bounce right back up. Y'all don't hear me? Because God is on my side. I'm the only man in this town. I'm going to tell you, I told Michael this story the other day. But I hadn't told anybody. I hadn't told nobody in the church. I remember Jen and I was in the river of life, and the fire was burning. And when God got his hand on you, don't care how tough it gets, you come out unscathed. So y'all don't hear me. As I goes, I'm in the fire. My wife is in the fire with me. We don't have no money. And we were living in a nice home and all that. So we decided our bank account is bad. We ain't got no money. And I didn't see none coming. And this is what I did. Me and my wife prayed about it and went sit down and talked it over. And we decided we're going to go to the mortgage company and tell them that we could no longer afford this property. And we wanted to give it back. Now, to remind you, I'm not behind on the house paper. As a matter of fact, I'm paid up. And the man told me, he said, Mr. Shaw said, you're not behind on your mortgage? I said, I know, but I'm going to get behind. I said, because I ain't got no money. And ain't none coming. I don't see none right now. And so we talked to him. He said, you know what I'm going to do? He said, man, I don't do this here. He said, I don't do this. He said, but I tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to buy this house back from you. So you won't get no damage on your credit and all that kind of stuff. He said, we'll work it out so we can get the house back. You take that, you go on about your business, and we'll sell this, and we'll zero it out. Go on about your business. So we said that he drew up the paper. I signed the paper right there as if he sold me house. He signed the other sheet, went to the title company, gave it back up, and we went on about our business. So people don't normally do that. I wish I had somebody. But he just did it for me because he said, I believe you're trying to do the right thing. And you're not trying to jam anybody. And I said to myself, that God is in this thing. And God trying to move me in a new direction. I wish I had somebody. And we rolled right out of that and kept right on going, never missed a stroke. I wish I had somebody. I got ready to close my business down there. I had the guy, I was sitting there one day and I said, God, what am I going to do? God said, I want you to close this shop. And go down there and pastor them people in Rochelle what I called you to do. I said, okay. I said, but I ain't got nobody. What am I going to do with all this inventory, man? I got $50,000 worth of books sitting on the shelf over here. I'm talking to God. And God said, sell it. I picked up a telephone call and made one call. I said, man, I'm getting ready to close this shop. I got a bookstore here, and I got to get rid of this inventory. And he said, well, how much you got there? I said, I got $50,000, at least $50,000 worth of inventory there. He said, I'll be there in a minute. And the same day, made one telephone call and sold it that day. I wish I had somebody. I have never seen the righteous forsaken, or his seed begging bread. I wish I had somebody. I will meet all of your needs according to my riches and glory. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I wish I had somebody. Stop it. Yes, see reality. You got enemies, people against you. Take responsibility for your life and get up under the hand of the living God and march on. Because in the power of God, nothing can stop us now. I've come too far to turn around. I'm too close to glory now. And I ain't going to stop until I step over on the other side and hear my master's voice say, well done, you good and faithful servant. Well done. You fought a good fight. You kept the faith. You completed your course. Come on over on the other side. I got something else for you. To God be the glory for the great